This is the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson. As I stated in a previous podcast, Libya is rife with corruption, and I view this as the number one political risk for foreign direct investors. The next major political risk I cited was the continued reliance on old Quadafffi loyalists who have stayed in jobs that control market entry. These former Quadafffi loyalists may seek to supplement their normal incomes through bribes now that their benefactor is no more. I maintain these views, and the recent political results only bolster my convictions in this regard. Libya's new National Assembly has elected former opposition leader Mohammed el-Maghrib as its president. Mr. Maghrib received 113 votes from the 200-member Congress, defeating independent Ali Zidane, who won 85. The vote came just a day after Libya's Transitional Council handed power to the Assembly, which was elected last month in the nation's first free election in 60 years. Now, this is a person who fled his country and still worked for democracy while he was abroad. His ascension to power means to me that Libya has peacefully begun a transition that seemed somewhat in doubt only a few months ago. However, there is always a potential for civil unrest between Gaddafi supporters and the new leaders. But having said this, I believe that Libya, unlike Iraq after the fall of Saddam Hussein, will see limited sectarian violence. Mr. Maghrib was the leader of Libya's oldest opposition movement, the National Front for the Salvation of Libya, which tried several times to end the 42-year rule of the late Mr. Quadaffy. Clearly, he has credibility with the Libyan rebels, who themselves were united by Quadaffy and only Quadaffy. The potential for civil war right after Gaddafi's fall was possible, but now there is much lower risk due to the fact that the person who's taken over is essentially one of the rebels, if you will. Mr. Maghrib has a lot of credibility with many people because of his efforts over a long period of time. He may not have been fighting in the streets, but he certainly is somebody that is not viewed as a Gaddafi loyalist. Mr. Maghrib, now the head of the National Front Party, will lead the new Congress as it chooses a prime minister and steers the nation to full parliamentary elections after a new constitution is drafted. Once again, this is may be a sticking point because drafting a constitution is never as simple as you would think. It is never as easy as people first believe when they first hear reports of a new constitution being drafted in the country. And in the United States, we only have indications of how difficult this is from writings left from that time frame by the people who drafted our own Constitution. Now, in the 21st century, we can see it unfold on television, we can see it unfold on the internet, and we can hear the views of people who are actually players in the drafting of a Constitution. This is a very, very difficult process. It may be long, it may be tedious, but the fact that it's going forward is an excellent sign, a very, very positive sign that Libya is on the right track. Challenges still remain, but not the same set of challenges feared right after the fall of Mr. Quadaffy. However, as always, I preach the gospel of caution as it pertains to political risk and still believe that there will be civil unrest, but not on a level that is organized in an effort to gain power. I believe it will be limited to protests of government policies. This doesn't sound good, but you know something? When people are protesting policies and they are not fighting and they are not organizing to overthrow a government, this is a good thing. Protests are a part of democracy. They are fine. I think they are encouraging. I think they are an excellent indication that there will be lower political risk in Libya as time goes on, particularly if the protests are not suppressed violently or in a way that is viewed to be heavy-handed. And we will also see how the protests fit into the bigger scheme of the Constitution, what types of rights are going to be enshrined in the Constitution as they pertain to protests. These are all going to be leading indicators of how quickly Libya will transition to a partner that not only accepts foreign direct investment, but one that you can rely on. This has been the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson.